The desert wind tore across the Nevada plains as Dr. Elena Martinez climbed the cold metal stairs to the observation deck. It was 3:47 a.m., and the global communications array stretched before her like an army of steel giants. Massive satellite, dishes aimed at the stars, each one tuned to a different corner of the cosmos. For 8 years, she had served as the lead scientist here, listening to the endless static of space, hoping to capture a signal that would change history. Tonight, that hope would become reality. "Dr. Martinez, you need to see this. Right now," called Tom Bradley, the night shift operator. His voice was tight with something rare: fear. Tom was usually calm, unshakable even when major systems failed. But now his hands trembled as he pointed toward the central screen. Elena rushed into the control room, her coffee mug abandoned on the deck railing. The massive main display pulsed, with a wave signature completely unfamiliar. The signal was powerful, far beyond anything they'd logged before, and it was originating from the Vega system. "How long has it been active?" Elena asked as she slid into her chair. "About 20 minutes. At first I thought it was satellite interference, but look at this." Tom highlighted sections of the signal. "It's not random. There's a pattern. This is intentional." Elena's heart pounded as she scanned the readings. After years of false leads and static, this felt different. Too different. The signal was too strong, almost like it was meant to be intercepted. "Run translation protocols," she ordered, "and wake the team. I want everyone here. Now." The room filled with urgency. Dr. James Cooper, their linguist, began deciphering the structure while engineer Lisa Park cleaned the feed. All eyes were fixed on the screens. "I'm getting structure," Cooper finally said. "Mathematics, star charts, and something more." "What kind of something?" Elena asked, the unease growing. Cooper's face went pale. "Weapons specs. Fleet coordinates. Lots of them." The room went dead silent. Elena leaned in, staring at alien text, slowly converting into English. "This isn't a message of peace," she whispered. "No," Cooper replied. "It's military data, and based on the metadata, we weren't supposed to see this." The decoding took 6 hours. What they uncovered chilled them to the core. The transmission came from a species calling themselves the Valdari Empire. They had been observing Earth for over 30 years, studying us like microbes in a lab dish. Elena read aloud from the translated files. "Target, Sol 3, species classification. Primitive carbon-based life forms. Threat level, minimal. Recommendation, complete sterilization prior to resource extraction." Tom's mug crashed to the floor, but no one moved to pick it up. "There's more," Cooper said quietly. "Fleet orders. 12 heavy cruisers. Departed 6 months ago. Estimated arrival at Earth, 18 months. Lisa Park stood, her voice tight. "They're coming here to wipe us out." Elena continued, her voice now steady. "The Valdari described humanity like pests to be cleared out before extracting metals and water." One line stood out. "The mammals of Sol 3 possess rudimentary spaceflight and crude technology. No significant threat detected. Standard elimination. Protocols recommended." Cooper looked up. "They think we're helpless. They think we're just animals," Tom added, his jaw clenched. The Valdari were thorough. They had studied our cities, cataloged our weapons, mapped our governments, but they had made one fatal error. They had never seen humanity truly cornered, alert. "The Global Defense Council," Elena commanded. "Activate highest emergency protocols and connect me to Admiral Caney, secure channel." As chaos rippled through the control center, Elena stared at the translation still crawling across her screen. The Valdari had made the same mistake that had ended empires throughout history. They had confused kindness for weakness. Admiral Marcus Caney arrived before dawn, his chopper landing with a roar. He was a seasoned soldier, gray-haired, sharp-eyed, forged by decades of war. Elena briefed him quickly. "So they've been watching us for 30 years?" he said, examining the alien star maps, learning, planning. Yes, sir. But the message wasn't meant for us. It was internal military chatter. We intercepted it by accident. Caney's smile was grim. Then we know they're coming. We know how many ships. And now, thanks to their arrogance, we know their tech. Lisa added, the transmission contains everything. Weapon systems, shield frequencies, even propulsion design. Caney studied the intel quietly. When he finally looked up, Elena saw something unexpected in his eyes. Not fear, but resolve. How long do we have? He asked. 12 to 14 months. And they think we're helpless animals? Yes, sir. Then we'll show them what animals do when cornered. We'll teach them a lesson they won't forget. In that moment, something changed. The air felt different, charged. The Valdari had studied humanity for decades, but they had never seen us prepare for war. What do you need from us? Elena asked. Everything. Every weakness in their tech. Every edge we can gain. We have 1 year to turn this planet into something the Valdari never expected, a worthy opponent. Caney paused at the door. When they get here, they won't find a backwater world full of primitives. They'll find a race that's angry, prepared, and ready to fight. As the sun crept over the Nevada desert, Elena looked out at the array. It no longer listened. It was about to speak. 3 weeks later, the world was transformed. What began as a hidden discovery had sparked the largest mobilization in human history. In bunkers and labs hidden across every continent, humanity awoke to its true potential. Deep beneath the Rockies, Dr. James Cooper watched Valdari technology come to life in human hands. The aliens had made another mistake. They had shared their secrets. Dr. Sarah Kim pointed at a gleaming device. Shield generator is ready for testing. If we read this right, it'll block their plasma weapons. Cooper nodded, though his mind was racing. For weeks, scientists had worked non-stop. The Valdari were advanced, but their designs were predictable. Decades of easy victories had made them overconfident. Seen the weapons lab? Sarah asked. Cooper followed her down a hallway past reinforced doors. Behind each one, engineers. We're crafting weapons and armor based on alien tech, but improved by human ingenuity. In one lab, Lisa Park oversaw the construction of energy cannons. Valdari tech relies on brute force, she explained. We optimized ours for speed and precision. When the first test cannon fired, it lit up the chamber. The beam punched through simulated Valdari armor with ease. Perfect, Lisa smiled. Their own designs can't protect them now. Above-ground cities turned into shipyards. Assembly lines once used for cars now churned out warships. Humanity had one focus: survival. In orbit, Captain Alex Torres watched the first Earth-built warship take shape. Humanity's countdown had begun. It wasn't the kind of ship humanity had once dreamed of. No elegant exploration vessel gliding peacefully through the stars. This was a weapon, forged with a singular purpose: to kill any alien threat that dared approach Earth. She looks angry, muttered Commander David Park, Torres's chief engineer. Torres nodded in agreement. The ship's jagged angles and protruding weapon ports gave it a predatory silhouette. Designed by human engineers using salvaged alien technology, it didn't just look dangerous. It was dangerous. The Valdari build ships to intimidate, Torres explained. Big, theatrical, meant to make lesser species surrender at the sight of them. We build ships to kill. That's the difference. Its main plasma cannon was inspired by Valdari designs, but modified by humans to be more accurate and devastating. The armor fused alien shielding with human ingenuity, layers of protection the Valdari had never considered. Most crucially, the ship was built to be unpredictable in combat, an anathema to the rigid, ritualized tactics of the Valdari. Back. On Earth, at the Nevada Communications Facility, Dr. Elena Martinez dealt with a different weapon: intelligence. The intercepted Valdari transmissions provided critical insight, not just into their technology, but into their very minds. They've never faced true resistance, Elena reported during the daily briefing with Admiral Kane. Every species they've encountered either surrendered immediately or couldn't mount a meaningful defense. Kane leaned forward, eyes hard. And what does that tell us? Their tactics are rigid, ritualistic. They expect predictable responses. When they arrive, they broadcast surrender demands. Then they wait. If no one complies, they begin extermination. It's been that way for centuries. They'll expect us to follow that same script? Kane asked. Yes, sir. They think we'll panic, beg for mercy, and crumble. But they're not ready for a species that thinks strategically and fights with purpose. Dr. Cooper joined via HoloLink from his research facility. We've made progress on understanding their chain of command. It's extremely centralized. If we take out their command ships, the rest of the fleet will be slow to adapt. Kane smiled. Good. Keep listening. I want to know everything. How they think, how they breathe. As weeks passed, Earth changed. Schools taught children about the alien threat. Parents worked in factories that no longer built cars or phones. They forged weapons and armor. Every broadcast featured updates on humanity's growing defenses. A species that once gazed at the stars with wonder was now preparing to fight for its survival. General Robert Hayes established elite training facilities where soldiers practiced zero-gravity combat and trained with alien weaponry. The training was brutal because the enemy was more powerful, more experienced, and physically stronger. The Valdari don't know what human desperation looks like, Hayes told his trainees. They don't know our creativity, our stubbornness, or what happens when someone threatens our families. Soldiers learn to board alien ships, fighting in simulated Valdari environments with tactics tailored to exploit alien weaknesses. Scientists pushed boundaries once thought impossible. Dr. Kim's team perfected personal shields. Lisa Park developed portable plasma weapons that pierced alien armor. Cooper's linguists cracked Valdari dialects for use in interrogation and psychological ops. But perhaps the most vital transformation happened in the human psyche. The same. Curiosity that once built cities and launched probes to Saturn had now hardened into something else: resolve. Humanity wasn't just preparing to defend Earth, they were preparing to make sure no alien species ever dared threaten it again. High above Earth, Admiral Kane stood at the observation deck of the orbital command station, gazing down at the once peaceful planet. 12 months ago, Earth was focused on trade wars and climate summits. Now it was a fortress. Sir, said Colonel Blake, entering, first probe has reached the Valdari fleet. Kane turned to the display. The alien ships glided, in perfect formation, gleaming, immense, and arrogant. They're not even trying to hide, Kane noted. They think we're too primitive to spot them. Should we continue surveillance? Kane nodded. Keep watching. Learn everything. 8 months had passed since the alien signal. Earth was unrecognizable. Every continent hosted massive shipyards and weapons plants. In orbit, Captain Alex Torres floated in the command center of Earth's newest warship, the 10th built since the invasion began. Sleek and lethal, the vessel bristled with hybrid weaponry. Torres didn't smile at its firepower. He smiled because Earth had achieved what Valdari intelligence deemed impossible: 10 ships in 8 months. Captain, Probe 7 is sending new data, announced Lieutenant Mark Chen. Torres stepped to the T. Display. 12 Valdari warships were approaching in flawless formation. Any changes in their approach? He asked. No, sir. Same speed, same alignment. They're not even scanning actively. They don't know we're watching. Torres nodded grimly. They think this is routine. But this time, Earth wasn't another primitive colony. On the ground, the transformation was even starker. From the Global Defense Center in Colorado, Dr. Elena Martinez watched the planet's defensive rebirth. Former car plants now built plasma rifles. Civilian labs now engineered shields. The generators are ready, Dr. Sarah Kim reported from Australia. Planetary shield network going live. Above, a silent shell activated, a web of satellites projecting invisible energy barriers into space. Sensors lit up. Shield coverage? Elena asked. Full power for 48 hours, reduced for weeks. Our reactors outperformed the original Valdari models. Human engineers hadn't just copied alien tech. They'd made it better. Beneath the Rockies, Kane met with senior staff in a city-sized bunker connected to military networks worldwide. Status of ground forces? He asked. General Hayes responded. 2 million trained, 1 million in reserve. Every major city has anti-air batteries. Kane nodded, but he knew the real battle would be in space. Orbital defenses? He asked Colonel Sarah Blake. 16 battle stations in orbit, each armed and shielded. Fleet strength will be 15 ships by arrival. 15 human ships against 12 Valdari cruisers. On paper, a match. But the Valdari were bigger, older, and undefeated. Earth's edge would be surprise and strategy. Any word from long-range recon? Probe 12 reached the outer system, Blake reported. Valdari are still broadcasting standard surrender demands. Kane gave a grim smile. The Valdari thought they were following an ancient, foolproof script. They didn't know Earth had torn up the script and written its own. Beneath Nevada, Lisa Park supervised final testing of humanity's secret weapon. The device was simple in appearance, a metallic cylinder, but deadly in design. Stealth torpedo ready, she announced. Invisible to Valdari sensors, each torpedo carried enough power to destroy a cruiser. How many? Dr. Cooper asked. 50, maybe 60 before they arrive. Pure human ingenuity. Valdari had never encountered stealth weapons. No species had been advanced enough to build them. Above, Dr. Martinez monitored alien signals. They're planning a demonstration strike, she reported. First target, New York. Kane's jaw tightened. They want maximum shock value, symbolic and deadly. He turned to his command team. Spread the word. There will be no negotiations, no mercy. They plan to start with blood. That knowledge, rather than shattering morale, forged it. Scientists worked faster, soldiers trained harder. Every level of society united. Captain Torres received the news while touring the fleet. Each ship was now more advanced than the last, innovations compounding rapidly. How's the crew adapting? He asked Commander Park. Better than expected. The fusion of alien sensors with our tactical systems gives us a coordination advantage. We see farther, react faster, strike harder. Torres looked out over the armada. They had built more than ships. They had built a response to extinction, and they were ready to deliver it. Ship capabilities varied, but what human vessels lacked in size, they made up for in speed, agility, and cunning design. They fight like they expect fear, Torres observed. Their ships are meant to break morale. Ours are meant to break them. Meanwhile, in labs across Earth, science advanced by necessity. Dr. Kim's team finalized vacuum-ready armor for zero-gravity boarding. Dr. Cooper's linguistics team created live translation software for real-time intercepts of alien chatter. But deeper still, hidden from the public, contingency plans evolved. If the fleet failed, ground troops would fight. If cities fell, resistance cells would remain. If civilization collapsed, bunkers would preserve memory and culture. The Valdari wanted fast extermination. What they found was a world-turned fortress, where every human was armed with fury and resolve. Admiral Kane stood again at the observation deck of the Orbital Command Station, watching Earth's defensive web, plasma, batteries, shield arrays, fleets in formation, probes streaming data. Latest from the network, Colonel Blake reported. The Valdari fleet arrives in 1 day. It came at dawn. 12 enormous alien cruisers dropped from hyperspace, each a floating city of war. Kane stood in the command center, eyes locked, on the tactical display. "Contact in 6 hours," Blake said. "They're broadcasting on all bands." Kane nodded. "Let's hear it." The alien voice was cold, mechanical. "Inhabitants of Sol 3, surrender. Your kind will be terminated. Obey and die swiftly. Resist and suffer. You have 1 planetary rotation." The room fell silent. Kane looked at his officers. "Well," he muttered, "that was charming." "Fleet reports ready," Torres said from the flagship. Kane eyed the screen. The Valdari were in their classic V formation, efficient, terrifying. The human ships, scattered, hidden, waiting. "Remember, the plan," Kane said to all channels. "They want a brawl. Give them something else." The Valdari cruised forward with the same confidence they'd used to crush countless species. But this wasn't a helpless world. Commander Thex frowned at the sensor readings. Where was the panic? Instead of chaos, he saw structured EM signatures, coordinated infrastructure. "Are these the right coordinates?" "Yes, Commander. Sol 3. But something felt wrong. Thex squinted at the strange echoes, readings too familiar. Then everything exploded. Lisa Park's stealth torpedoes had been drifting silently for weeks, cloaked against Valdari sensors. Now they struck. 1 torpedo vaporized the leftmost cruiser. 11 more ignited space. 8 ships hit, 3 critical, Torres reported. "They're breaking formation." Kane allowed himself a grim smile. "Now," he ordered. "Attack pattern Alpha. Make them regret coming." The human fleet erupted from the dark. 15 ships, smaller, quicker, swarming like wolves. The Valdari staggered, trying to realign. Torres had predicted every move. "Focus fire on their command ship," he ordered. "Kill their coordination." 2. Thex's horror, his fleet reeled under the assault. These weren't primitives, they were professionals. Their ships looked Valdari, but hit harder. Shields absorbed blasts that should have shattered hulls. "How?" Thex screamed. "We don't—" "No, Commander," his tech replied. "Their systems resemble ours, but enhanced." And that was the answer. Humans had taken Valdari tools and made them better. The battle raged for 2 hours. Valdari ships were massive, designed to terrify and annihilate, but humans fought with cunning, precision, and hate. General Hayes watched, from Colorado's command bunker. When 3 damaged alien ships broke formation and dove toward Earth, he was ready. "Activate the orbital grid," he ordered. 16 stations unleashed hell. 1 cruiser tried to break through. Hayes tracked it. "Attempting atmospheric entry," Colonel Blake said. "Let them," Hayes replied. "They'll find a welcome party." The cruiser smashed through the atmosphere, landing hard in Australia. Inside, desperate Valdari sent out a call for help, but Martinez had already cracked their codes. "They're calling for a planetary assault," she reported. "They want the fleet to bypass space combat and strike Earth." Kane heard the transmission and grinned coldly. "Perfect. Signal all ships. Fall back to orbit. Let them think we're running." The Valdari watched the human retreat and, true to their doctrine, mistook it for fear. Commander Thex, wounded but furious, ordered pursuit. Giddy was exactly what Kane had hoped for. As the Valdari fleet entered Earth's orbital space, they found themselves surrounded. The human ships that had appeared to retreat had actually moved into pre-assigned attack positions. Orbital defense. Stations powered up their batteries. From Earth's surface, thousands of weapon systems locked onto the incoming fleet. "Fire everything," Kane ordered. The combined strength of humanity's arsenal struck at once. Plasma beams, missile barrages. and precision energy fire turned Earth's orbit into a deadly light storm. The Valdari fleet, caught in a perfect kill zone, took fire from every angle. Commander Thex realized, too late, that this was no battlefield. It was a trap. The primitives he had come to crush were using his own technology, modified, optimized, and turned against him. "All ships, retreat to hyperspace," Thex barked, panicking. But the humans had anticipated that too. Commander David Park, leading a squadron of the fleet's fastest interceptors, had waited for this exact order. His ships jumped in, cutting off the Valdari escape routes and forcing them into close-quarters dogfights. "No one leaves," Park declared. "No Valdari returns to warn their empire." The final phase of the battle was swift and merciless. Valdari ships, built to intimidate weaker worlds, were helpless against vessels engineered for one task: alien annihilation. One by one, great cruisers were destroyed or crippled. When the last Valdari ship fell silent, Admiral Kane turned to his command staff. Outside, the sky was filled with drifting wreckage. "Casualties?" he asked. "Minimal, sir. They never reached our cities or even our lower orbit." Kane nodded. The battle was done, but the war had only begun. Somewhere out there, the Valdari Empire was waiting for news of their expected victory, but no report would come. And when silence turned to suspicion, more ships would follow. Kane knew. 3 months later, he stood in an interrogation chamber deep beneath the Global Defense Center. Across from him sat Commander Thex, captured, alive, the only high-ranking Valdari survivor. The alien's once imperious posture was gone. His silver skin and dark eyes now reflected something new: fear. "Your empire will send more," Thex said in broken but defiant human standard. "You cannot stop the full force of Valdari might." Kane studied him calmly. "Tell me, Commander, how many worlds has your empire conquered?" 47 systems, Thex said proudly. "You will be the 48th. Kane leaned forward. "And how many of those worlds fought back?" Thex faltered. "None. Resistance is pointless." Kane gave a thin, cold smile. "That's your first mistake. You've spent centuries bullying the helpless. You forgot what it's like to fight someone who can hit back." Dr. Elena Martinez entered the room, carrying a datapad filled with decrypted alien intelligence. "We've analyzed the star charts," she reported. "The Valdari Empire spans 47 systems, but their military is thin. Most planets are controlled by small garrisons." Kane nodded. His plan was crystallizing. Their core system? 3 heavily fortified worlds, but the majority of their fleet is scattered, maintaining fear and order. "And here's the kicker," Martinez added. "They've never lost a fleet. Ever. When their ships vanish, the Empire will panic." Thex listened, stunned. These humans weren't retreating. They were planning to go on the offensive. Meanwhile, in orbit, Captain Torres oversaw construction of a new class of warship. These weren't reverse-engineered Valdari knockoffs. They were fully human, designed to be stealthy, deadly, and invisible to alien sensors. "The first cruiser is ready for trial," reported Commander Park. The sleek ship glided through space like a ghost, cloaked from detection, armed with next-generation plasma lances. "How many in the fleet?" Torres asked. 6 stealth cruisers, 12 assault ships, 20 fighter squadrons, all using the hybrid tech. Torres smiled. The force was small but purpose-built. At the Strategic Planning Center, General Hayes stood before a glowing star chart. Red dots marked known Valdari military positions. The alien data trove had exposed their entire structure. "They control through fear," Hayes explained. "Tiny garrisons backed by the threat of annihilation." Colonel Blake frowned. "You're saying we don't attack? We liberate?" "Exactly," Hayes confirmed. "We free every world they've taken. And when those worlds see the Empire bleed, it will unravel." Kane entered the room. Thex confirmed it all. Their empire is a house of cards built on terror. "And the homeworlds?" heavily defended but isolated. If we collapse the perimeter, the core worlds will be surrounded by enemies. Kane's eyes narrowed. They crushed hope across the stars. We're going to bring it back. Dr. Cooper's team had been decoding more than just Valdari language. The captured archives held records of every species the Empire had conquered. We can talk to them, Cooper reported. Most were conquered recently. They remember what freedom feels like. Kane smiled. Perfect. When we move with them. The plan took weeks to finalize. It was bold. Humanity wouldn't just defend Earth. It would strike back. Hard. 2 months later, Phase 1 began. 6 stealth cruisers jumped into hyperspace. Their targets, 6 separate Valdari garrison worlds. Captain Torres led the assault on Kepler 442b. Conquered just 5 years ago, it was still home to a fierce mountain resistance. Quiet insertion, Torres ordered. No alarms. The cruisers dropped into orbit, cloaked. Below, only 2 Valdari cruisers and an outdated defense grid stood guard. They were vaporized in 17 minutes. Human weapons struck with surgical precision, overwhelming from angles the aliens had never imagined. As the last Valdari tower fell, Torres opened comms, broadcasting in the native tongue Cooper's team had decrypted. People of Kepler 442b, Torres announced, this is Captain Torres of the human fleet. Your oppressors are gone. You are free. Humanity stands with all who choose freedom. Celebration erupted across the surface. Resistance fighters poured from the mountains, reclaiming their world. The once terrifying garrison was now scattered wreckage. Similar scenes unfolded on 5 other worlds. Human strike teams eliminated Valdari control with shocking speed, but the most powerful message came days later. The human fleet arrived at Proxima, Centauri B, a major Valdari military hub, surrounded by defensive satellites and cruisers. The aliens there believed they were untouchable. They were wrong. The assault fleet emerged in perfect formation. Human ships, deadlier, faster, smarter, closed in like predators. Valdari forces moved to intercept, confident in their centuries-old tactics. They were obliterated in 4 hours. Every human captain had studied alien maneuvers. Every tactic had a counter. Every assumption failed. When silence fell over the system, Kane's voice boomed over the frequencies. This is Admiral Kane of the human fleet. You came to exterminate us believing we were weak. You were wrong. We are survivors. For 10,000 years we've fought to reach the stars, and we will not be cast back into darkness. Every world you conquered, we will free. Every enslaved race will see the truth. The Valdari can be defeated. Your empire is built on fear. But today, that fear dies. His voice echoed across the stars, carried by images of broken fleets and liberated worlds. For the first time in centuries, the conquered began to hope.